Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler, Zach Bloomquist, Union Zach, the best executive producer in the game, is with us. Zach wanted to start early today because, he has a crazy job. Zach gets up at 3 a.m. right now. He's doing concrete. And then, I'm up until all hours of the night. I go to bed at 3. Zach gets up at 3. 24-hour access to the Paul Farrington Show cast here. But Zach's like, all right, let's try and get this going a little early tonight. That is the 4th time I've done that exact same intro because we had some technical difficulties, then the microphones weren't working. The one time that we really are on some sort of time restraint, that's, of course, when everything starts to blow up in our face. But here we are. We'll try it again. Hopefully no equipment freezes. We're looking forward to a great show with you guys. Jack is not with us today. He's a busy man right now, coaching the middle school. The future of this country is in the hands of Jack Weinberger, who is doing a good job with our middle school basketball team. I got to see him in a different light at tryouts, and it makes you realize and appreciate really how teachers, when you're younger, you think some of them could be mean, but you look back, you go, wow, all right, you're dealing with 12, 13, 14-year-old, especially the guys at that age, and you go, okay, maybe I understand why there had to be a little strictness in class there. It's pretty funny. It's not like you, though, Ziggy, who are teaching, the brightest minds in philosophy at UVA.
Bright minds they may be. Sometimes I feel like I'm corralling a group of 12, 13, and 14-year-olds, but apparently they're starting to realize that's something 12-year-olds don't get, that I have a life outside of the classroom. I was talking to one of my students after class, and, he's a big Bills fan. So every Monday, because if you're a Bills fan, every Monday this year has been miserable. So he's been miserable just about every Monday, and we commiserate. He says, this weekend, I was on my phone going through Instagram, and up popped you, Robert, and one of my reels talking about football, and I do a double take. So I couldn't believe that you have this football podcast. Paul, they think I'm all philosophy all the time. And instead, I'm all philosophy 90% of the time.
No, it's funny you say that because I remember having a teacher at ND. He taught us about national parks and things like that. A really quirky guy, someone that you would just look at and say like, okay, kind of a stereotypical nerd if you were to put it on him. And I thought it was a great class. I went to see him one day in office hours. He had this tight, tiny little closet of an office in the basement of one of the buildings. I walked in to ask him a question, and we just start talking. And, I'm a big fan. I love animals. I think Animal Planet, all that stuff is really cool. So I start talking with him, and he's a wolf expert. That's like where he, that was his number one field. And he starts talking about this story where he was going to restock, like not a trap, but basically a trap to get pictures.
Yeah.
And he was walking with a hunk of meat in his hands, just a giant thing of beef. And he looked up, and there was a wolf 20 feet in front of him. And I was like, holy crap, that's unbelievable. And then he looked over to his left, and another wolf. And he starts seeing 8 wolves. Like the entire pack is there. And he goes, they start surrounding me. And I'm just, my jaw's on the floor listening to this guy. I said, like, you scared? Or he's like, no. I know.
Did you die?
I was like, did you die? He was like, no, I know when wolves are threatening. And in this situation, I could tell it was more curiosity. So he goes, I just, went in, laid down the meats, set up the cameras and got out of there. And I just looked around the room basically in astonishment. Like, here's this guy who I thought, was just a regular national parks dude who's facing off with 8 wolves in the forest in the middle of the night. Like, he's the coolest guy on earth. That's like you, Ziggy. Philosophy teacher by day, sports Batman by night.
So, in any case, this sometimes comes out if you leave a comment talking about, say, knowledge and whether or not we know ball. I gave a nice little, people usually have to pay me for this. I gave a nice little knowledge of like techne versus aporia in Plato. Like, this is what we're all about here.
Yeah, that goes right over my head. I don't know about you, Zach. Zach's going off of 16 hours on the day. And
I mean, look, man, you just got to have a little episteme. Football's not the kind of thing to have episteme about.
Your kids call you Robert?
Yeah. What else would they call me?
Do they know Ziggy exists?
No, I'm not letting them know that. If they find the show, they can find out, but absolutely not.
I would have assumed Professor Ziegler.
I'm not a professor.
You're right.
I might be someday. I'm done with my coursework.
Oh, yes. Congratulations.
Now I have to start actually being productive. This is worrying.
Now we need to get picked up. Get picked up.
Fast.
His alter ego.
Absolutely.
Robert. And then
I'm Robert. Ziggy's the guy on the show.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Ziggy's the alter ego.
Well, we do have a really fun football show. I know that took us a while to get into it here. Of course, because Zach has to get out of here quick. We have one of our longest intros in weeks. But we're going to talk about the Bills and the Chiefs game, a little Eagles-Cowboys. Then we're going to take a dive into the NFC and AFC Wild Card race, because there are a lot of teams who are just hovering around that in the hunt spot. And it's going to be a lot of fun as we close out the year. And, of course, we'll end the show with game picks. But let's start with that Bills-Chiefs game. This is the 5th straight time that the Bills and Chiefs have played in Kansas City now. We always talk about the Chiefs and how it seems most of their games are in Arrowhead, the big ones. That is the case with the Bills, and it's usually a big game when they play. If you look at the Chiefs right now, 5 of the last 7 weeks, the Chiefs' offense has scored 21 points or less. And that's not something we're accustomed to with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and that crew. So a lot of the attention goes to the wide receivers for good reason. They lead the league in drops. Think about the big drops Chiefs receivers have had this year. Kadarius Toney against Detroit probably cost them that game. You had Marquez Valdez-Scantling against the Eagles, probably cost them that game. Things we don't normally see from the Chiefs, we are seeing right now. And I'm a little concerned, Ziggy. I said on our Packers-Chiefs reaction show, this is the most I've doubted them. And I don't like to doubt Mahomes, but this is the most I've doubted that squad in the Mahomes-Reed era. Are you on board with that?
I think there's certainly things to doubt, and I don't think anybody expected this to be a must-win game for both teams in the way that it is. Mm-hmm. Obviously you want to win a game like this, right? But the Bills, if they lose this game, they are close to out of the playoffs. So they have to win. The Chiefs, meanwhile, if they lose, they are going to see the 1 seed slip away. So I think there's a lot to be worried about for the Chiefs. Of course, in his career, Sean McDermott 6-0 after the bye. Certainly a guy who knows how to prepare for games like these. And with an offense that's struggling and a defense that's having a hard time carrying the load, because against the good offensive teams like the Eagles, like the Bills, like the Packers, apparently, it can be tough for the defense to do enough. So yeah, I definitely think it is time to be concerned, because the goal of the Chiefs isn't to win the division. They've got that locked up. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. And it's starting to look like that's not a guarantee anymore, like you might have thought coming into the season.
And we remember Mahomes has never played a road playoff game before. Not that we're questioning his ability to go and win on the road, but it's just something that's unfamiliar for Chiefs fans right now, is to not be the favorite to get the 1 seed. And you're not only behind Baltimore, you're also behind Miami. And then there's Jacksonville in there, who's dealing with their own issues with Trevor Lawrence. But what's funny is you mentioned McDermott 6-0 off bye weeks. The Chiefs have won 11 straight games coming off a loss. So something has to give there. Something that I found pretty interesting, though, 80% of bets are on Kansas City money line, but 50% of the money, about 50%, is on the Bills money line. I'm actually leaning Buffalo right now, which is crazy to think, from where Buffalo's been up and down all season. But I still think this is a really good football team. I know that we had the video that said the Bills are officially effed, and I still think they're in a lot of trouble. But in this game right now, when I'm looking at it, I think it's going to be a close game. Most of these are. I like where Buffalo's at, and I'm concerned about Kansas City. Is that crazy?
You can't be happy with Mahomes showing up on the injury report today. First, he had to have his knee taped up against Green Bay. Now, apparently, he's hurt a pectoral muscle during practice. Like, the more Mahomes takes these hits and the more he gets let down, the more I just worry about whether this team is going to start entering a rut. I guess not entering. They're in one. It's about getting out of the one they're already in. I don't know. Like, this Bills team, I just feel it deep in my heart, is too good to not make the playoffs. Right. But with games remaining against the Cowboys, the Dolphins, and the Chargers, you do need to eventually start winning your games. And the Bills are going to come in motivated, doing their best to win this, because they've got a whole lot of history in Arrowhead.
That's the other part, too, is the Bills are coming in with their backs against the wall. The Chiefs, it's important for the Chiefs to win this one, but they're probably going to win the AFC West. If Buffalo loses this game, they're done. They really are done. It would take a miracle for them to get in. So with a must-win, Kansas City not playing all that well, Josh Allen had one of his best games of the year in Philly. Like the Bills should have won that game. It took a 59-yard field goal from Jake Elliott in disgusting conditions for that game to even get to overtime. So I like Buffalo there. And I also think they're going to get after Mahomes in this one. If you take a look at some Robert Ziggy Ziegler stats right here, the Bills are third with 41 sacks right now this year and fifth in QB hits. So they're getting after the quarterback. Their edge rushers are playing well. Mahomes already a little banged up. We'll see how mobile he is. I'm picking Buffalo close. Obviously never comfortable doing that against Kansas City, but I'll go Bills. How about you?
I think I'm going to go Bills.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know this is always a tough combination, but the Cards it feels like they are aligning for Buffalo. It feels like things are going in the opposite direction for the Chiefs. And even though I can't quite quantify it, I do believe in momentum in the NFL. And this is a momentum spot if I've ever seen it.
This is and now that we're both on the Bills, Mahomes is going to come out and throw for 400
Oh, yeah, no,
yards.
you're going to make a reel with us saying like the Bills, it's their time. They're going to lose by 30 points, and we're still getting comments on that Eagles 49ers video 10 days later.
Yeah, crazy. You know, Zach did a double take when you said Buffalo. I think he was shocked to see the two of us pick against Kansas City.
Maybe this is just something about my character, but I am so rattled after seeing not just that they lost to the Packers, but how they lost to the Packers.
Dude,
I'm overreacting, and it's causing me to reevaluate this team.
All the money was on the Packers last week. A lot of the sharps were on Green Bay, and that's a situation where I look back and, I don't like to doubt that when I see that, like all the money on one team, but I was going, the Chiefs? Really? The Packers? And then, lo and behold, Jordan Love has his best game of his career. We'll talk about the Packers in a little bit because their fan base is thrilled. They're thrilled with the Packers. They're thrilled with our show. They're just happy with everything right now, which disgusts me. But at the same time, it's good for the show. It makes good content. And Jordan Love, I do like him, even though he's a Packer. Some Eagles Cowboys talk right now. This is the chance for Dallas. This is the big chance. They're sitting at 9-3. Philly's 10-2. Just humiliated by San Francisco last week. And the division title means everything for Dallas. Can you realistically see the Cowboys going on the road to San Fran or Philly and getting a playoff win?
I can see it, but it's a whole lot tougher.
And I don't remember what the exact stats were, but during the Seahawks game, they mentioned how apparently Dallas is way better on turf than on grass this season, which I couldn't find the numbers, but Dallas in their home stadium, you're on turf there. If you go to Philly, you're on grass. If you go to San Francisco, you're also on grass. One of those weird metrics to pay attention to. But I look at this game here, the Eagles' pass defense, really their back seven, just not even close to what it was last season. They're allowing 260.3 passing yards per game. That's 29th in the league. And we know how ferocious that front four is and how there's so many rotational pieces. They could get after the quarterback. Hassan Reddick's a monster. Everyone's a monster on that D-line. But the back end has been pretty weak this year. And Dak is sneakily, he's your MVP right now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Dak, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, averaging 263.4 passing yards per game. Third in the league is Dallas, leading the league in scoring, 32.3 points per game. All these numbers would say Dallas should have a big day in the air against Philly. And I actually like them to get a win here, finally get a win against the Eagles in a big game. It feels like this finally has to be the time.
Paul, I hate when we start agreeing because this is always a sign bad things are coming.
Oh boy.
But I've been believing in this Cowboys team really all season. I've been saying it's the Dak comeback year. The defense is going to be good. And while I'm not thrilled with how close a game they played against the Seahawks, the fact that Dak Prescott was able to consistently perform and get them the win has to mean something, right? 29 for 41, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tony Pollard got his. CeeDee Lamb got his. This is just a team where they've got lots of different ways to win, right? The defense can keep you in the game. The offense can keep you in the game. And those kinds of teams are dangerous. So I don't know. As I see like this Cowboys team starting to come into their own and an Eagles team that frankly they look more like the 2022 Vikings than the 2022 Eagles. I definitely think there's a huge opportunity here. And if Philly wins this game, the playoff picture in the NFC starts to look real interesting, real fast.
Yeah, Philly had a real chance to secure the 1 seed with a win last week, and it's just concerning to see them lose the way they did to San Francisco, who's now beating the crap out of Philly and Dallas, just to keep in mind there. I think Dak Prescott is finally getting some of the recognition that he deserves for being a really good quarterback. We've talked about him versus Kirk Cousins on this show before. And both of them actually kind of took a similar route this year where they were, this is arguably the best football we've seen from Dak Prescott. And Kirk Cousins, same story. Finally, you're seeing these guys who are forever just said to choke in big moments and, not be top 10 quarterbacks in the league, even though they consistently put up those numbers, you're finally starting to see some of that recognition of, oh, wait, like, yeah, Dak might be really, really good. And him and Brock Purdy are the MVP favorites right now, which is...
The fact that Brock Purdy is up there with Dak Prescott is ridiculous.
I actually don't think either of them should... we talked about this in our text conversation the other day. I would have Tyreek Hill as the MVP right now, which... Yeah, why are you rolling your eyes at that?
It's a quarterback award. Quarterbacks are the most valuable players.
I know,
they should win.
I know. But Zach, what do you think? I mean, you see Tyreek Hill.
Oh boy, I wonder what Zach thinks.
Well, you see Tyreek Hill more than most people. His impact on the Dolphins is massive.
It's unbelievable what he's done. I mean,
yeah, no, Tyreek Hill's good, but he's getting schemed looks. A lot of players could put up good numbers of schemed looks.
Ziggy says
Ziggy said
this is his time.
Yeah.
It is my time. It's always Ziggy time.
You know, like Hill has more receiving yards than like 5 or 6 teams receiving yards.
Yeah, he's like 1350 or something like that.
He's at 1481.
1480. Yeah, like right now I'm seeing the stats that Tyreek Hill's putting up. Last week, he had an 80 yarder and a 60 yarder. It's like every single week he's making an unbelievable play. And it is a quarterback award. At the end of the day, you know it's going to go to a quarterback. But if Tyreek Hill, who's putting up these stats and having this impact on Miami, can't even be a top 5 candidate right now, which he's not on all the betting sites, that's where I say, okay, you know, no one who's not a quarterback is ever going to win this unless you have like an Adrian Peterson 2,000-yard rushing season. Because there's really no quarterback who's dominating this year. And it's still all of them are quarterbacks at the top of the board.
As it should be.
As it should be.
Was Cooper Kupp in the?
I don't think he was seriously considered.
The year he had what do you have, like the Triple Crown they called it?
Yeah, the Triple Crown.
Yeah, but no, he wasn't going to win it that year.
Like what?
But I mean,
go ahead, Ziggy.
I will say this much: I think there are problems with how this award is done, but I am willing to bet that whichever team wins this game, their quarterback will win MVP, regardless of how the game goes. Like we saw. I mean, I don't know if y'all remember this, but like. I remember that Eagles-Chiefs game. Like this game somehow dramatically improved Jalen Hurts' MVP odds despite throwing for 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Like it's increasingly feel like quarterback wins. And this is the big game in the NFC of the year, right? I won't say it's for the division. Even if the Cowboys win, it's probably only a 50-50 chance at best.
Eagles have the tiebreaker, right?
Indeed, I didn't look at the divisional records. I know the Cowboys still have the Commanders to play. So like that tiebreaker could come in.
Okay.
But doesn't matter. Whoever the division's up for sale, then it's just up to the 49ers. It's either for the 1 or 2 seed. But I don't know. It's tough to say what's going to happen this game, but I'm just getting a feeling. This Cowboys team has the momentum. The Eagles are reeling a little bit. I'm not confident in them. There's a lot to like about Dallas. Maybe this is their year.
Dallas's losses, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It's the Cardinals, the 49ers, and Philly.
Yeah.
And Philly, let's say they were to lose this and have the same record, it would be Dallas, the Jets, and the 49ers. So there you have the AFC, NFC. That would be the tiebreaker to Philly.
Notably, all 3 of those Cowboys losses on the road.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Talk about the importance of the 1 seed. Like, you need it. And I'm looking at just the teams right now who are in contention. For MVP, it has to be at the moment Lamar, Dak, and Stroud, right? Those are and then Hurts.
I guess.
Like those are the guys.
Man.
It's a fun year for the MVP debate because there's a lot of really good teams, but no one completely dominating. So if the Cowboys get the 1 seed or even the 2 in the NFC, that'd be kind of wild. Do you imagine Dak Prescott winning MVP? The media would go crazy.
I think there's a good chance he deserves it when we get to the end of the year.
But he's been fantastic. He's been fantastic.
I will just say this much about Dak is every single year people say that he's being carried by the offensive system. And then every year he's continually lost players, right? He lost, I'm trying to think back. So like he lost Zeke, he lost, Brandon Cooks. I guess no, he added Brandon Cooks and lost. Is it Gallup? Who's the name of the receiver that left a couple of years ago?
Cedric Wilson.
I mean, they lost Wilson. Noah Brown left. Like, I'm not gonna
like they lost Schultz. This was another loss. Like people keep going out. Dak Prescott keeps performing. Even when CeeDee's hurt, he's able to find guys to get the ball to. Like Dak is the system. The offensive line keeps getting worse. He keeps performing. I'm confident of.
He's the James Harden system. I said the exact same thing to my uncle today. He said, doesn't Dak normally get carried? I said, in the past, he's had great teammates around him all the time. And he still has a phenomenal team. But now it feels like they're winning because of Dak Prescott, especially this season. And for the past few years, he's just gotten better. And here we are where he's having, MVP caliber year. And that should get Cowboys fans really excited. But we know how it goes. You get excited for these big games, and then a lot of times you get to the playoffs and something just goes wrong. So maybe this is a different year. Who knows? But getting that 1 seed will go a long way in denying the chance for something ridiculous to happen in the second round there.
Amari Cooper, that's who I was thinking. I can't believe I forgot Amari Cooper.
I was sitting back going, there's definitely someone huge.
No, there's someone big, right? And
now we're gonna get flamed in the comment section. Oh, you guys don't know ball. Amari, are you kidding me? Amari Cooper? That's how it is sometimes. Okay, let's talk about the playoff races here. We'll start with the NFC. Out of all the teams, and let's take a look here. There's the Vikings. We'll say the Cowboys are in. So for the 6 and 7 spot, there's the Vikings, the Packers, the Rams, the Seahawks, and a bunch of NFC South teams. Out of all of them, Ziggy, who are you most confident in right now to make the playoffs?
I hate to say this, Paul. It tears me up on the inside.
Don't
because we only got to see them bad for 3.5 weeks. But at this point, it is increasingly hard for me to see how the Green Bay Packers do not make the playoffs. They've got a cupcake schedule. Jordan Love, I'm not saying he's the answer, but he's looking like a answer. I really think we are going to see Jordan Love and the Packers make the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers sitting on the bench, and celebrations in Green Bay because they can't even be bad for 1 year.
Yeah, what do we have? 3 weeks? Is that actually what we had? 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, so I'm thinking here, right? So he looked good in that Falcons game and the Saints game. And then it was the Lions, Raiders, Broncos, Vikings. And then now he's been on a tear. It was 4 games.
Horrendous. Yeah, and we talked about this, or I talked about this on the reaction show here. It's important not to get too high or too down on Jordan Love. We've said all season, you have to give him the full year to build his picture of what he's going to be for the future. And at times, so many people in the national media have gone all in saying they need to move on, or going all in saying, wow, we found our next Rodgers or Favre. How about we just appreciate Jordan Love for what he's been this season, which is up and down, but finally getting to a point now where Matt LaFleur says, hey, I'm gonna let you let it loose. Let's start throwing the ball in the middle of the field, which we didn't see for so many weeks. Let's start using some of these young, fun weapons that are on this team who a lot of people thought were nobodies. And so we're finally starting to see some of that development from Green Bay. Again, the youngest team in the league. As they're getting better and better each week, it becomes a scarier sight for one of these teams. I don't think the Eagles, 49ers, Lions, I don't think any of them are staying up at night panicking about Green Bay yet. But when you see them beat the Chiefs, that's not a game they're supposed to win. That's a game where Kansas City should take care of business, continue their, destined route for the 1 seed like it is every season. And the Packers, you say, almost there. Let's make a playoff push next year. To see Jordan Love win that game and look the way he has, best game of career after best game of career, that's when I say, okay, God, son of a bitch. They're actually going to get into the playoffs here. And you look at their schedule, you said, at the Giants versus the Bucks, at the Panthers, at the Vikings versus the Bears. I see that as 4-1 probably, and that'll get you in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to compare how Jordan Love and CJ Stroud are being talked about. By the advanced numbers, they are having similarly good seasons. And imagine this were Jordan Love's first season in the NFL. 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,900 yards on an up and down offense. It's not like he's had the world around him. I'm not saying he's looked like Patrick Mahomes, right? The Packers, I think, will investigate quarterback options this offseason. But based on what we have seen, the Packers should be comfortable rolling with him for another year. They should be confident that he has a good chance of being the quarterback of the future. And that's just unbelievable. I'm so sick of this. And this is what Packers fans can come to us to, right? I will give him credit. Jordan Love has by and large this season looked pretty good. Early in the season, I was harder than him on everyone else. When he started looking bad, I was easier on him than everyone else. And now, I think people are finally starting to get what we've seen. Last 3 games, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But come on. my inner Vikings fan just has to say, this is such crap that Jordan Love, he's bad for 3 games and suddenly he's good again. I don't know, man. But Packers are making the playoffs.
It's the Packer magic, dude. You can't avoid it. It's
Blue Sky franchise doesn't describe it, right?
Here's Kirk having the best season of his career, tears his freaking Achilles. Jordan Love comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden is a Pro Bowl level quarterback.
But so let's say the Packers get that 6th seed.
Oh, can I ask you one more question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If the Packers do get the 6th seed and they play they'll probably get Detroit there. Maybe you see San Francisco, Dallas, or the Eagles.
No, you get Detroit.
You get Detroit. What's your confidence level they go in and win that football game right now? Is the ceiling to you a wild card spot? I know they just went and beat them, but in a playoff matchup, are you thinking that the divisional round is the ceiling for them, or do you say wild card and out?
I'd give the Packers at least a 45% chance of beating the Lions.
Okay. So you don't think it was a fluke at all going in there and beating them up?
No, I mean, look, 45%. That might be unduly low, right? We're saying that Lions have a 55% chance of winning, big gap between those. But on the basis of what we've seen from these teams, what you need is the Packers to have a good game and the Lions to have a bad game. That's all you need, right? I think if either one of those things obtain, you don't need both, right? You want to beat the 49ers. Packers need to play the best football of their lives. 49ers need to have one of their worst games of the season. The Packers just have to play above average or the Lions below average, and it's a win. They split 1-1. They can absolutely win even in Detroit.
I was looking too at the chances of Green Bay potentially sneaking in for an NFC, like stealing the NFC North. It's going to be really hard for them to do that. The Vikings have a chance because they get Detroit twice more on the schedule and can own that tiebreaker outright. So I'm more inclined to say the Vikings actually have a better chance to win the North than Green Bay. But when I'm looking at how the two teams are playing right now, you'd have to say the Packers are playing better football at the moment. I interrupted you before. You were saying for the 7 seed, after Green Bay gets into the 6, then who do you have your eyes on to sneak in as the last?
That's a good question. So I haven't been happy with what I've seen from the Vikings offense. I get that Dobbs is getting another chance. It's been a week off, but Dobbs is just an up and down player. I don't think he can be consistent for the rest of the season. The Seahawks stink. They're a bad football team.
You know, I do want to mention about Seattle, though. We said they were dead, and I still think with having San Francisco and Philly on your schedule coming up, it's going to be hard for Seattle to get in here. I was impressed with the way they looked, though, against Dallas. I thought that Geno looked awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, they had a great game in terms of performance. That is, and I'm being serious, that is why they're only at plus 200 to make the playoffs right now. Mm-hmm. Instead of being like plus 4 or plus 5. But I think they're dead in the water. This leaves the Rams. And the Rams are a team where I feel like everybody has sort of forgotten about them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to apologize for my take of them winning the NFC West this offseason. That was obviously kind of silly. But this Rams team is pretty good, right? They just they had an absolute beating of the Browns, right? 36-19 against the Browns defense. They beat up the Cardinals. They beat the Seahawks. Like, this is a team that has enough good players between guys like Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, Aaron Donald. I think they can be competitive. They've got winnable games for most of the rest of the season. This could be like that last playoff team filling in that 7 seed.
So right now, I think from the way the schedules work out, just from predicting, I think the Vikings will wind up getting in as the 7 seed. But the Rams, to me, are the more dangerous team than Minnesota. And this is another one where it's great. If you go back in a time machine, not too long ago, the Rams were 3-6 getting blown out in Green Bay with Brett Rypien under center, or Rypien. And since then, Matthew Stafford returns from injury. Cooper Kupp's gotten healthier. They've won 3 in a row here, and you said it's impressive to go and do what they did to the Cleveland defense, who's been shutting down most teams all season long. Also blew out Arizona. And in these games, the best takeaway for any Rams fan is look how good Matthew Stafford has been the past 2 weeks. 229 yards and 4 touchdowns against Arizona. 279 and 3 touchdowns against Cleveland. Only sacked once during the win streak here, the 3-game win streak. If you're able to keep Stafford healthy, there are enough weapons on this team. And Kyren Williams, oh my goodness. I mean, he's our guy from ND. Kyren is having an unbelievable season when he's been on the field. It sucked that he got hurt earlier. but he comes back and goes for 190 total yards. That offense, as long as they're healthy, is really dangerous. And I would not want to be, even though the 49ers have taken care of them, and I think Philly or Dallas would too, I would not be happy with that matchup because Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl champion, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Super Bowl champions. They have that DNA in them right now. And Sean McVay's been awesome this year. So the Rams, to me, are not going to make it because I do believe they'll lose at Baltimore and against the 49ers. So I see them going 3-2 down the stretch here. And I'm going to go with Minnesota, but I would not be happy to see the Rams in the playoffs. So so you have the Rams as a 7?
Indeed. I'm not confident in the Vikings to be able to carry it through. But can I just say something that's kind of funny about the Rams team that I thought about today?
Please.
If you were the Rams, set aside all the past history. You know what trade in the NFL would make a world of sense right now? Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff. Think about it. The teams are in almost opposite positions of when that trade happens. The Lions are win now. They're thinking we just need a little upgrade at quarterback to unleash everything. Goff has been good, but Stafford would certainly be better. The Rams are thinking, we got a lot of young guys. We could use a quarterback of the future. We're willing to downgrade a little bit for some draft capital. Like, it's funny how quickly things change in the NFL that now these teams are in almost opposite positions of that trade. That trade broke while I was in COVID quarantine at Notre Dame. I was just sitting in the bathtub. And I'm like, oh, shoot, Matthew Stafford just got traded.
I'm imagining Ziggy just sitting in his bathtub getting a notification. Oh, my God, like in a bubble bath deal.
That's when I was a Rams fan. I was amazed.
Yeah,
I didn't have a blanket. Paul, I didn't have a blanket.
I thought you said you were in the bath. What, you were sitting in the bath?
No, I was saying that my COVID quarantine thing didn't even have a blanket.
Oh,
no,
so
I did not have bubbles for the bath.
You did not have bubbles. Ziggy and I were both in the same building. We got COVID at the same time. Ziggy was like, what, you were floor down? You were floor up? I think you were floor up.
This is a different time, but yeah.
Oh, different time, jeez. The time we did have it, I remember I get a call from Ziggy, and Ziggy's just like, well, you had like 104 fever or something. You got
Yeah,
bad.
I was dying.
Ziggy got bad, and I had to, I busted out to go bring him some Advil or something like that one day. I'm running around. I'm pretty sure I'd recovered at that point.
No, you did not bust out. You had been let free. But all that to say, I don't know, man. This Rams team with Matthew Stafford, it feels like they can win anything. Zach, would you be surprised to see a typical Ravens late season collapse against this Rams team? Like, really surprised?
No. I think it is that time of the season where the Ravens start to collapse like they always do. Lamar's probably going to do something. He's going to get hurt. And just like every other quarterback this year, apparently.
Oh, man, the quarterback injuries are crazy this season. So you think the Rams are going to win this weekend?
I think they have a fair chance. Here's the thing. You have to build some projection in. I think they have a decent chance of beating the Ravens. They've got Commanders, Saints, Giants after that. 49ers, for all we know, could be resting people.
Yep. I don't think they will, just with how close it is. But they do have the tiebreaker.
It's not impossible they have it locked up, right?
Yeah.
And then, the Vikings, they have to play the Lions twice. They play the Packers. They play the apparently resurgent Bengals. So it's not like you can pencil all those games in as wins for us either.
No, you can't. You can't. And I'm probably being, I try to be as unbiased as I can on the show. But I'm probably incorporating a little bit of bias here, thinking the Vikings, 3-2 is more likely. That's still a tough 3-2 when you got Detroit twice, a hot Green Bay team. You're on the road for the Raiders and Bengals. 3-2 is probably a generous prediction for the Vikings, who don't even have a quarterback situation. It has to be Dobbs, right? It has to be Dobbs.
Probably. It depends on whether, I think they've made the choice. The question was whether they could institute an offense that someone else could take advantage of. They decided that Dobbs is going to do better than Hall. I'm willing to trust the coaching staff's assessment here.
With the way Matthew Stafford's playing too right now, if the Rams were to get in, is he the third best quarterback in the NFC playoff picture? Would you have him over Purdy? I probably would.
When he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
Frankly, when he's on, he could be the best quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah, Hurts is good. Hurts has been really good this year, but hot Matthew Stafford is as good as anyone.
Yeah,
and that's why
Hurts is hurt. He struggled at passing. Dak Prescott, he always has a couple stinkers. Matthew Stafford, when he is on, he is on.
So you got Packers, Rams. I actually have Vikings, Packers. I believe. I think the Vikings will have that tiebreaker over Green Bay. But it's gonna be a great finish. And then watch Seattle go and make a move. That'd be crazy. I'm pretty confident that they're in some trouble here. But it's gonna be a super fun NFC playoff picture. A little AFC talk work, and then we'll get to our game picks.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. Okay, so in the AFC, if the NFC is crazy, the AFC is an absolute shit show because you have Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, and the Browns right now. And, real quick, applause for Zach because the Miami Dolphins sitting there in the 1 seed at the moment. We talked about, for them, similar to Dallas here. We've compared those two teams all year. Get that 1 seed. You need it because it's just tough for them to go on the road in these big games. It feels like they're always on the road and they always wind up, whether it's a blowout loss or an excruciating loss, feels like Miami loses those games. You're in the driver's seat. It's pretty exciting. But for the wild card, you have the Steelers in the 6, the Colts in the 7, the Browns in the 8. I'm sorry, the Steelers 6, Colts. Oh my God, I can't count. Steelers 5, Colts 6, Browns 7. Then you have 8 Texans, 9 Broncos, 10 Bills, 11 Bengals. And the Broncos, Bills, Bengals are all at 6 and 6 here. Houston 7 and 5, outside looking in. It's still crazy to me that the Steelers, Colts, and Browns are in the playoff spots. I think the Texans, Broncos, and Bills are all better than them. Right now, Ziggy, we'll do it similarly to the NFC. Who are you most confident in to get in out of that group?
First of all, I've just got to say the Jaguars were robbed. I don't mean by Trevor Lawrence. I mean literally Amit Patel, an employee, has been accused of stealing $22 million from the Jaguars organization.
Holy crap. 22.
Yeah, no, he was just he took the company credit card and bought a condominium and a bunch of fancy cars and stuff.
I mean, so clearly $22 million. That's
so much money.
That's a lot of
things are clearly bad
really
in
nice apartment.
Jacksonville. But no, I mean, who do I like? Unlike the NFC, I don't feel like I can pencil in any of these spots. So realistically, what's going to happen here? The Steelers just are going to make the playoffs. They're just one of those teams. They're not going to miss because they're going to finish over 500. So they're blue sky. They're in. I really like the Texans. They got a win they really needed over the Broncos for that tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. And then because they're one of the 7 best teams, I think I just have to take the Buffalo Bills. I think they're going to make it. I don't trust the Browns to be able to keep things going down the stretch. They play some tough teams. I don't think they're going to make it. The Colts might have the tiebreaker head-to-head over the Texans, but I think the Texans are a better team. They're going to pull ahead. But the only real question I've got is that Colts-Texans question. Otherwise, I think the playoff picture is probably settled in. So that leaves the Broncos out. That leaves the Bengals out. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, I actually do have a team. I think the Texans, I'm pretty confident I can pencil them into a spot here. I love what they're doing. The Tank Dell injury absolutely sucks. It sucks to see for both my fantasy team and the Texans with how well he was playing and the way that him and CJ Stroud have been gelling all season as 2 rookies. Their schedule's Jets, Titans, Browns, Titans, Colts. I think that's a 4-1 schedule right there. That could even be 5-0. I'm confident that Houston will be able to get in, and we'll see what happens with Trevor Lawrence because he has a high ankle sprain. You're saying that he might be playing this week?
They're thinking he might play this week. My guess is he's going to take a week off and be back next week.
Yeah, I've seen 4 to 6 weeks for high ankle sprains before. For Lawrence, luckily it doesn't look like it's that bad. The injury looked horrible. But Jacksonville goes to Cleveland. They have Baltimore. They're at Tampa. I think there's still a chance here that the Texans can come in and win the AFC South, which would just, again, I think it would be an insane accomplishment for CJ Stroud. But I'm really confident that Houston will find a way into the playoffs right now. Out of all these teams here, who are we talking about? Kenny Pickett with the Steelers, Gardner Minshew and the Colts, DTR, Flacco, whoever it is with the Browns, Russ, Jake Browning. I'm going to leave out Josh Allen. He's the best there. But the Texans have the second best quarterback out of that entire group right there. And I'm not going to bet against what DeMeco Ryans has done this year. Really confident in the Texans. So I went through every game, Ziggy, and did the predictions online. It's kind of fun to do that as you get towards the end of the season. And I was a little surprised with the takeaway because, as I was saying before, I want Buffalo to get in. It's fun to watch Josh Allen. I want to see him in the playoffs, go up against the other best quarterbacks in the league. And I was trying to see if I could find a scenario. I have Buffalo getting close, but not quite there. I actually have the Texans getting in. The Jaguars are also safe. And then my other two teams are the Browns and the Colts, which really, I mean, stunned. If Indianapolis gets in, given everything they've gone through this year, it is such a great, like you have to be so confident as a Colts fan heading into next year that you're in the right direction getting Anthony Richardson back. But I look at who they have coming up, and Indianapolis, they go to Cincinnati, they host the Steelers, who currently are without Kenny Pickett until likely the last week of the season. Go to Atlanta, host the Raiders, host the Texans. If they're 3-2 there, and I think they could beat the Steelers, beat the Falcons, beat the Raiders, you're in a good spot to sneak into the playoffs. The Browns as well, I see them beating the Jaguars this week without Lawrence, I'm imagining, beating the Bears and beating the Jets. 3-2 for both those teams. Do I think they're the best AFC teams? No, but just with the way that the schedules work out and where they're positioned at this moment, I think you're going to wind up with those three teams in the playoffs as your wild cards. And will it be the most entertaining games in the wild card round? Who knows? But those teams all of them have had really impressive seasons for different reasons, overcoming a lot of different obstacles. I mean, 2 of the 3 lost their starting quarterbacks for the season. So that's who I have at the moment. Is that crazy to have the Colts? Like those games seem very winnable for them, right?
Yeah, so it's certainly not crazy. The question is just whether you trust Gardner Minshew to be able to keep it going. I mean, there's a reason the Colts are relatively heavily favored to make the playoffs, right? They're like minus 190.
That's crazy.
People think this team's going to make it. It's just, I don't know. I don't trust Gardner Minshew to be able to keep things going. But look, I mean, as you say, he doesn't have to do a whole lot. There's a whole lot of winnable games here. But needing a heroic performance to win in overtime against the Titans does not bode well, even if they make the playoffs, for him to do much of anything.
Look, also keep an eye on Cincinnati. It's easy to write them off, but they looked good against Jacksonville, and they'll get their chance against the Colts. They'll get their chance against the Steelers. They play the Browns. Those are all huge games because it's all the teams you're competing with. If Jake Browning looks anything like what he did on Monday Night Football, they also have an outside chance of getting in here. Last team I want to talk about before we go to our game picks, and we could keep this quick because we talked about them earlier, but the Bills' remaining schedule, it's tough. It is the next 2 weeks at Kansas City, hosting the Cowboys. If they're able to pull off one of the two, you finish at the Chargers versus the Patriots and at the Dolphins. It doesn't get a whole lot easier, but I think they could beat the Chargers on the road. Patriots, they should win at home. And then Miami, you could have a shot, a puncher's chance there. This is still a top 10 team in the league to me, though, talent-wise. Like, I think they're really good. It's just, you said it earlier, at some point you have to win these games, and think about how many different moments Buffalo has had. 4 turnovers against the Jets, the Patriots game-winning drive, Broncos 12 men on the field, Eagles 59-yard field goal. We're not far from looking at like a 10-2 or 9-3 Buffalo team, but because the ball has bounced a couple different ways, and it's been their fault as well. Buffalo has done this to themselves. It's going to be an uphill battle to get in, but you do think they sneak in? Do you think you're picking them more because you can't see a playoffs without Josh Allen, especially in a week?
I refuse to accept it.
Okay.
I think the odds for them making the playoffs at plus 380 are about right. But are you telling me the Buffalo Bills aren't making the playoffs?
I mean, they have to win this week.
I know. No, it's unbelievable that week 13, they are in a must-win situation going to Kansas City. I would not have expected this, but unfortunately, that's just where they are.
If they had been able to pull off that Eagles game and they were sitting at 7-5, I mean, it's a world of difference. And now we're talking about a team. A lot of people would be saying the Super Bowl could be on for Buffalo if they'd be in Philadelphia, I bet. But man, it's an uphill battle. I have them just missing it. But this is really the week where if they lose, then they're officially, to me, gone. But if they win, then we'll be here talking about them hosting the Cowboys.
If they lose this week, then they'll decide not to play Von Miller for the rest of the season.
Yes. Gee, that's a whole nother issue. All right, let's get into some game picks here. We'll wrap it up so executive producer Zach can get some sleep.
Staring off into the distance.
As Zach fades off. Zach fades off here.
Yeah, if you see me just staring, it's probably because I'm on like maybe
Hour 16 of your day?
No, if you see him staring, it's because he's having a divine revelation of this week's same anytime touchdown score.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Right.
Zach is red. Did you hit all of them last weekend?
The only one I didn't hit was the Rashid Rice that I put. I tried to go 3 for 3. I couldn't go 3. I went
I mean,
2
you
for
get
3.
people. You get a little excited.
But I was pretty red hot. I was red hot. We hit who do we hit? We hit Cortland Sutton.
Mike Evans, right?
1 p.m. games. Then I said 4 p.m. Give me some Mike Evans.
I haven't done it this year, but you
You know, it was
have
actually-
been disgustingly hot.
It's actually ridiculous. Like Mike Evans wise, like I feel like he scores every game, but they had him at like plus 200.
Didn't Sutton have? I think he had one catch, right? Like he had one.
His son had multiple.
Did he wind
catches,
up? Did he wind up? Okay, at the
Sutton
time
was the
of
star
his
of that
touchdown,
game.
though. At the time of his touchdown. Sorry, yeah, that's what it was. At the time of his touchdown, it was like third quarter or something. He had one catch for 45 yards and a touchdown. It's like, the hell does Zach know here? It's kind of weird. Real quick before we start the game picks, I'm gonna do this one off the top of my head. I don't have the ad read in front of us, but go and check out Sharps. That's the app that we partnered with. It's a really cool app. If you go in there and look, you could see what other people are. They're posting their bets. You could track their win-loss record. It's supposed to be accountability for sports bettors because so many people say, "Hey, I'm red hot," but really they're only showing you their wins. So this is an app that keeps track of your picks. You could see who's winning and who's actually losing. Jack had that red hot streak of the cap of the week that was helping out our account for a little bit there. So you could go and take a look. We'll be posting our college basketball picks throughout the year. We're very good college basketball bettors. I will say that. I can't exactly say why, but we are very good college basketball bettors. I believe we are 8-2 in the last 10 right now. So we'll be posting more and more of our CBB bets throughout the year. So you can follow along there, and I highly recommend you do. And the way that you can help us, because a lot of people ask, how can we help the show? The best way to help us is to download the app and then link up your sportsbook. That's the part that helps us. That's when we get paid. If you link your sportsbook to the Sharps app using the referral code PRFV414, look at that, I memorized it there. PRFV414. That's how you help us with this partnership here. So we'd appreciate if you can do that. And yeah, we'd love to squad ride. There's nothing more that this cast enjoys than seeing squad rides during football games, basketball games, whatever it is. Send in your best bets. We'll probably tail along with you and just have a good time. So that's the Sharps app and referral code PRFV414. Let's get into some game picks here. We got the music working. Perfect. The Patriots and the Steelers. Yeah, the only thing working. Jesus. We froze up for a second again. The Patriots at the Steelers. Steelers are a 6-point favorite with Mitch Trubisky. Let's start with you, Ziggy.
Steelers are 6-point favorites. They can score once in a while. He's better than Bailey Zappi. Give me the Steelers all day.
Yeah, Steelers all day. We're gonna go with another 6-0.
6-0. I saw someone say this is the most likely game to end 0-0 this season. I'm gonna go with the Steelers too. They're fading though at the moment. The Rams are getting 7.5 points at the Ravens. Who you got, Ziggy?
It's a long trip for the Rams. They're coming off a bye. Lamar Jackson is going to challenge that defense. The Ravens defense owns Matthew Stafford. All of this is building towards a pretty big Ravens win. So I'm going to buck the narrative and go with the Rams. Matthew Stafford's going to air it out.
I want that 1 seed, and I want our game in Baltimore to matter a little less. So give me the Rams.
I can't pick against Baltimore in Baltimore right now. I'm sorry. I know the Rams have been a fun comeback story this year.
Did you just say you like squad riding?
I love squad riding, but not in this situation. Not right now. The Ravens defense is awesome, man. I'm not picking against my boy Kyle Hamilton in that secondary here. I got Baltimore winning this one. I do think it's close and that the Rams cover. Carolina at New Orleans. The Saints are a 5.5-point favorite. The Carolina seems like they are just a mess right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people were following the story that broke out today, but apparently during the bye, David Tepper told them to tell Bryce Young to change his footwork. Like, he is meddling it that way. He's changing the defensive scheme in real time. It's an absolute disaster in Carolina right now, and I am not picking this Panthers team for the rest of the season, even if bad Jameis is playing. So give me the Saints all day.
Yeah. Saints all day. Bryce sucks.
I got the Saints too. I saw that story, Ziggy. It is just a complete mess. And maybe Jack has been right all along on the Panthers here. Colts are a 1.5-point favorite at Cincinnati.
I think that what we saw was usually when backup quarterbacks step in for their first start, they play hot. Things fall off from there. I think this Colts team is going to be up for the challenge, even on the road for their second week. So give me the Colts. Jake Browning's not going to get it done.
Yeah, Minshew Mania, baby. Keep it rolling.
This is so tough for me because the Colts, while Jack has struggled with Patriots picks this year, the Colts, no matter what I say, they go the other way. My gut is saying to go with the Bengals right now off of that Jake Browning performance, but I think the Colts are going to sneak into the playoffs. I'm going to go with Indianapolis. So many weapons in Cincinnati where if Browning's okay, they should be, competitive. But I think it's a really close game. It's a really big game, but I'm going to go Indianapolis. Jaguars at Browns. The Browns are a 3-point favorite. Looking at the moment like Trevor Lawrence will not play in this game.
I don't think Lawrence is going to play, but I also don't think the Browns are going to make the right choice and start Joe Flacco. I think this Jaguars team wants to win for their boy Trevor. They're going to get it done. Give me the Jaguars.
Give me the Browns. Joe Flacco gets his first win in like 30 games.
Is Flacco officially starting?
Pretty sure they named him the starter.
They put him on the practice squad, so they might elevate him and start him, but not a guarantee.
So still unsure. Regardless, I do like Cleveland. I don't think Flacco will be playing this game. I like Cleveland here. They've been awesome at home. The defense has been good. CJ Beathard, not too confident in him to get the job done. I'm going to go with Cleveland. Another really big game. The Jaguars, there's a world where they don't make the playoffs, depending on how long Trevor Lawrence is out. So this would be a huge win for them as well, who, Houston's chasing them down. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Atlanta, a 1.5-point favorite.
This is a real tough one. I hate both of these teams a ton. But the Bucks, they're hungry for the division. I like Jack's pick of the Bucks to win the division. The only way that's happening is if the Bucks pull off the road upset. So they're gonna. Give me Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we go with my boy Baker. He's on my fantasy team. Give me Tampa Bay.
I will also go with Tampa Bay. I think Atlanta, Desmond Ridder, if it's Heineke also, whoever it is, I don't really like the quarterback situation they've had all season long. Gonna go with Tampa Bay. Detroit, a 3-point favorite at the Bears.
Look, the Lions might be a 3-point favorite, but I'm worried about the weather. When weather gets bad, this Bears team just has a way of winning. Bears are coming off a bye. The defense has improved. I can't take the Bears, man. Give me the Lions. I want to talk myself into it.
You almost did it. You were almost there.
The Lions have been rolling. Give me the Lions.
I'm going to go Detroit as well, but Chicago's been playing better football, and Justin Fields has looked, he's looked good at times this year. But Detroit, they now can sense it. They can start to smell that division title. I think they're going to get the job done here. Houston, a 3.5-point favorite at the Jets.
Here's the thing. Zach Wilson is back. He's starting. The quarterback of the future is there for the New York Jets. Actually, that's too mean. I'm not going to say the thing I was going to say. I'll say this much.
You were loading up for it. I saw the look on your face.
Yeah, here's the thing. This is one of those games that it's just a be careful game. It's a trap game, and I don't think this team is experienced enough to avoid falling into the trap. Tank Dell's not there. I think the Jets win this one.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think Stroud shows that he doesn't need Tank Dell to win a game.
Yeah, he's leading the league in passing right now. He overcame your boy Sam Howell, Zach. I don't know if you saw that.
He also went over Tua too. So.
Yeah, over Tua as well. I got Stroud and the Texans, but it's a good test here with that Jets defense. Seattle, a 10.5-point dog at San Francisco. Is that too much?
It's not enough. The Seahawks have lost 3 straight games. Their defense is a disaster. Their offense looked pretty good for one game. No, it's easy. Give me the 49ers. They cover.
Yeah, it's Niners all day.
This is bad. I play Zach in the fantasy playoff matchup this week. He's got Debo. He's got McCaffrey. He's got all the 49ers, and they just kick the crap out of Seattle every time they play. I got Seattle big as well. Minnesota -3 at the Raiders. Super Bowl rematch.
I know, man. Look, Antonio Pierce is a good coach. I think he's at least gotten this team playing. But the Vikings are a good team. I'm going to take the good team over the exciting coach. Give me the Vikings.
I'm going to take the Raiders on this one. I think the Vikings, crumbled last week. I think they crumble again.
And to be fair, we have the ability to crumble against anyone, anywhere, anytime. Justin Jefferson is returning, though. And that, you're talking about top 3 player in the league. Positionless doesn't matter. I got Minnesota on this one, shockingly. Josh Dobbs needs to show something in this game, or else he's going to be benched for Nick Mullins. I believe O'Connell likes him anyway.
Who drafted Hendon Hooker?
The Lions.
The Lions.
Oh, the Lions.
Lions.
Okay. Yeah.
I like Hendon Hooker.
For some reason, I thought the Vikings did.
No, we have Jaron Hall, who is also, has an opportunity to potentially play at some point. But I have the Vikings in this one. It's a huge game for Dobbs to look good. The Broncos at the Chargers. Chargers a 2.5-point favorite.
Look, here's the thing. This Chargers team is bad, but this Broncos team, I think, is worse. I am not convinced. The defense has looked variant. The offense is good when they need to be, but they're not great. I think this Chargers team is going to do what they need to do. Justin Herbert is just so much better than Russell Wilson. I got the Chargers. They got to win this one, so they will.
The Chargers put up 6 points against maybe the worst team in the NFL. Give me the Russell Wilson.
Gosh, you're so right, Zach. I didn't watch any of the Chargers-Patriots game, but I was stunned that was 6-0. They covered too, the 5.5. But I'm going with the Chargers. They're a weird team.
They couldn't score a touchdown.
It wasn't the quarterback's fault. The receivers will get it together.
The Broncos have been playing well too. Like they really have. They almost stole that game. You know what, Zach? You convinced me. I'm going to switch. I'll go with the Broncos.
Yeah.
And that very well might change my playoff predictions as well. So I don't know what happens with that, but I'm going to go with the Broncos. Zach flipped it. All right, here we go. The big games of the week here. The Bills at the Chiefs. Chiefs are a 1.5-point favorite in Arrowhead.
Chiefs off a loss, Bills off a bye. One thing's got to give. It's going to be the Chiefs. Josh Allen's got this covered easily. Mm-hmm. Give me the Bills.
I guess I don't really want the Chiefs to win. I really don't want the Bills to win either.
No, you don't want. I think that you would rather.
I think the
Chiefs.
Bills. No, I think we'd rather the Bills.
You'd rather the Bills win?
Well, because we want the first seed.
Yeah, and they have the tie. I forgot they have the tiebreaker.
So I think we want the Bills.
But you don't want to get Buffalo in the play. Yeah, you know what? They still have such an uphill battle to get in. I'm going to go with Buffalo in this one. The last thing in the world you want to see is a Buffalo Bill backed into a corner.
Did we just wolfpack the Buffalo Bills?
I think we did.
Ow.
Yeah, against the Chiefs in Arrowhead. With the Bills at 6-6.
Again, you're going to get angry comments this week.
Probably will. Jeez, none of these game picks that we put out ever seem to.
Wait, this is where we need Jack. Are you guys kidding me? It's
Mahomes.
The Chiefs at home.
The Eagles at the Cowboys. Dallas, a 3.5-point favorite in this one.
Yeah, I think this is easy. Cowboys win. They're at home.
Who were they playing?
Philly, the Eagles. We did a whole segment on this.
Yeah, we did.
Zach gets up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Nah, it's the Eagles.
Eagles can't do it.
Can't
do it. I'm gonna go with Dallas. I feel the same way, but I'm just a little bit more towards the Dallas side of things here. It's now or never. If they don't win this one, are we ever gonna see them win the big game in the division? Maybe not. So I got Dallas. Tennessee, 13.5-point underdogs. Favorites would have been wild. Underdogs on Monday Night Football at the Dolphins. We know what Miami does at home to bad teams.
That's right. What's the spread?
13
you said it was,
and a half.
Yeah, easy Miami cover. The Titans defense is bad. Miami's going to put up another 50 plus.
13.5 is such a big number.
Well, I'm a big Titans fan, huge Titans fan. Not really. Give me the Dolphins.
We're a Titans podcast.
They come in once.
I got Miami, but I had them winning by 10. So I have them not covering. The Packers, 6.5-point favorites at a dual Monday night week. Green Bay, 6.5-point favorites at Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants.
You know, the Giants are on a little bit of a win streak, and they're not just on a win streak.
They're hot.
They're on a
Don't
win
let Tommy
streak
get hot.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito is outplaying whoever comes to MetLife. Jordan Love's had 5 good games in a row. Do you really want me to believe that it's going to be 6? This Giants team is hungry, and Tommy DeVito, if he wins this, he might just hold on to the job because the Giants can't get anything better. Give me the New York Giants and Tommy DeVito.
Italian jersey, baby. Italian jersey.
Moscow kid, too.
That might be the stupidest pick I made all year, but I'm sticking with it. F the Packers, F Green Bay, F all their fans.
Yeah, well, we like the fans. We like the fans at least. Ziggy gets
saying F to the channel too. You were going down.
Yeah, it's like our channel. That's, please, we're sorry. That's really funny. Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Give me Jordan Love. He'll be loving all over the field.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't want to take the pack. Yeah, I have to. I can't pick DeVito. I still can't. I'm not buying into it. He bit me in the ass, honestly, against the Commanders.
What have they scored a whole, maybe 20 points, if that, in the last 2 games he's played in?
Yeah, they're winning. I mean, they're finding ways to win. It's a cool story.
Well,
it's a really
cool
story.
You played the Patriots, who I think have scored maybe 6 points in 4
and
weeks.
The
Commanders, who we just blew out by 30.
Hey, watch out for the Giants in that wild card run. You never know. If the Giants, that would be the greatest comeback.
Coming back. Probably next week.
Yeah, I keep playing DeVito.
Giants aren't going on a run, but they're going to run all over.
I think
the
this
Packers.
is bad for the Giants. All these wins, you're not going to stick with DeVito next year. You wanted to pick. I think this is the worst case scenario for them, honestly. Yeah. All right, there you go. There are our game picks for Week 14. We'll wrap it up here real quick. We did mention after we froze for the 5th time tonight that Dylan Harper committed to Rutgers. Rutgers with the number 2 and 3 recruits in college basketball for next season. Kind of crazy.
Good thing we're a basketball podcast.
Yeah, good thing we're a basketball podcast. But that's insane that the recruiting classes for next year goes Duke, Kentucky, Rutgers. I mean, that's what? This feels like a video game or something. So that's going to be fun. We'll have some big games at the Rack next year. We're going to have to go. But 2 and 3? Sheesh. All right. We'll get ready to wrap it up here. Ziggy, you said you have not seen Godzilla -1.
I have not, but I think it's going to be good. I'm going to try and catch it now that I'm done with classes.
Yeah, we'll have to debrief on that. Where for anyone, who is also a nerd.
I was a huge Godzilla.
I love
fan.
Godzilla.
I'm a moderate guy. I like the old films. The MonsterVerse, I don't really care about this cinematic universe garbage.
MonsterVerse. Did you see the trailer for the new MonsterVerse movie?
It looked fine, but again, I don't care about the cinematic universes. The only universe I care about is the universe where Chris Tyree transfers to the University of Virginia, and I get to teach him philosophy.
I want to say real quick, I'm upset that Godzilla's running in the trailer. Why is he running with Kong? It's like it looks like it's Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell in the movie. I don't understand it. Why are you making Godzilla an athlete? It's a different gripe. I'm sorry, but if you like Godzilla, leave in the chat. What's your favorite? Leave us your favorite fantasy world. It's the MonsterVerse, Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, whatever it is.
Harry Potter.
Let us know. Not me. Not Hermione. You. Let us know what your favorite one is, and we will see you later.
You're a wizard, Harry. I'm a what?
Ziggy's
all the cinematic universe stuff is just garbage. Watch
Ziggy,
real
give me a
cinema
Harry Potter line
instead.
quickly.
I don't know. I watch real cinema. I don't watch this crap.
No, you've definitely watched Harry Potter. Give me a Harry Potter line. Come on. What's stuck with you?
I legitimately could not give you a quote from the movie.
If our friend Nina from middle school is watching, drop a Harry Potter quote.
Oh God!
If Nina, I used to mess with a girl in our grade named Nina who loved Harry Potter, a huge super fan, and I would just go up to her. We were like 13, 12, maybe 12, yeah. And I would go up to her and I'd be like, Nina, I'd grab a book and I'd go, pick any page any line number and I can recite it. And she's just like, no, you cannot do that. I like to do it. Say it. And she'd be like, okay, page 353, line 7. And I'd like try and shuffle. I'd be like, oh, Ron said to Hermione. And she'd just be like, what the fuck are you doing, man? That was fun messing with her. Yeah. Maybe Nina watches.
Paul was a big bully.
I wasn't a bully. If that's bullying,
that's bullying.
Yeah, that is bullying. You're right. If that's bullying, then
that's targeted harassment.
Targeted harassment
on the basis of her interest and the fact that you didn't think they were cool.
I like Harry Potter. I liked Harry Potter at the time.
Paul thought he was Harry Potter.
Third book was one of my favorite books ever at the time I read it. Okay. There you have it. We'll see you for the Week 14 reaction show. Thanks for listening. See you later.